Welcome to episode 97 of the NERO Show. In today's episode,
we witnessed one of the closest finishes in Grand Tour history. Couple that with a soap opera of events.
the pro cycling transfer period has started. We chat through some of the more exciting pro rider transfers we've seen so far.
Two old blokes whinge about disc brakes.
Chris updates on his project to make the TCR more aerodynamic.
And big changes to swimming and rowing training. What can cyclists learn? All right, let's get into it. Controversially, Jesse, this is almost my favourite time on the cycling calendar.
Oh.
So just let me set the scene for you here. So we've got...
You mean pro cycling calendar or just cycling calendar?
Maybe cycling calendar. But okay, I'll start with pro cycling calendar because you start getting the transfers.
Yes.
So the transfers start dripping out. I think August 1 or something's the date that they are made official. But I'm not really sort of glued into this stuff all the time. So when this stuff is released, it's like, oh, what? Fantastic. So that sort of stuff starts coming out. So I want to talk about some of that. Then you get maybe the bike brands that are shifting teams. That sort of info starts coming out. Love that shit. All about
I'm
it.
all over that one.
Like,
yes.
That's just me to a test.
Yep.
Like NBA trade room is fantastic. Then, look, we've got a Grand Tour going on that's just started. Potentially just witnessed the best Grand Tour of the year. Controversially, we'll get into that in a second. I'm going to argue for it. We'll see. We'll get to that in a second. But so a good bit going on. Where do you want to start?
Well, you've started us off, so I think you lead us along here because by our best Grand Tour of the year, you're talking about the Tour de France Femme. So I didn't watch any of it, so feel free to we'll get into that because I want you to fill me in because I need to keep up on this stuff. I just didn't watch it, so I want you to run me through the talking points from that, and then transfers. Who's going where? If you've got some notable things that we want to chat through, let's go through that. But actually, I want to start off on the Tour de France Femme. So, because I did see Lanterne Rouge was doing highlight videos. It looked like some big storylines from there. You had teammates apparently betraying other teammates or something. There was things going on. What have I missed?
It had everything for me because not only did it come down to an outrageously close finish in the sense that we were literally 200 meters from the end of a Grand Tour stage and the entire podium was still up for grabs. So I can't remember a situation where I've ever witnessed anything like that. So, but planting that to one side, you're right.
Now, because I did see this 4 seconds thing. So Kasia Niewiadoma won the GC by 4 seconds.
Correct.
Right.
And
Okay.
that 4 seconds
How does that even happen?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, that's part of another debate of is a 1 week tour a Grand Tour? Because, we have seen finishes like this in Paris-Nice, in other 1 week tours. So for me to even introduce, and when I said, is it controversial, I meant actually from the point of view as suggesting that this was a Grand Tour. I don't actually know where I stand on that just yet, whether a 1 week event warrants that. Putting that to one side for one moment. The 4 seconds, so essentially Demi Vollering, best climber, number one rider, Grand Tour rider in the women's peloton, was suggested that she was going to put a lot more time into her rivals on these last two climbs. This last day was potentially the biggest day in women's cycling, full stop, in terms of the two Cat 2 climbs, then the Glandon, and then finishing up Alpe d'Huez.
Sheesh.
And
okay.
big
the
day.
men
out.
didn't go up D'Huez this year, did they?
No.
Oh,
No.
interesting. Okay.
So Vollering attacks on the Glandon halfway up, so still 50 Ks, like 2.5 hours of racing left. Attacks with no teammates up in front. Immediately puts her time back into Niewiadoma, who I think had about 1:15. Immediately puts that time in, and then this incredible soap opera plays out in front of us where Niewiadoma is still can't drop her the other podium rival, and so there's a little bit of antics going on there. Niewiadoma gets a second wind, but she also plays the politics really well of getting the second group on the road to start riding because, as you know...
This is chasing a solo Demi Vollering who's...
Well, she's solo, not solo, because she's actually got Roy Ackers with her, who is at the time in front of her on GC. So there's the soap opera playing out is
okay.
Vollering is confident that she's going to drop Royackers on Alpe d'Huez, but she needs her to work in this valley because you've got a valley road to deal with, as always plays out in these races. So, and then there's the descent, and this is the other kind of an amazing thing that plays out in front of us is Vollering is a far superior descender to Royackers, but she does a really bizarre thing. Is she waits for Royackers on the descent, like completely. She could descend at 11. She dials it down to 7 to let Royackers stay with her. And there's this kind of thing. Oh, have they done a deal here that Vollering is therefore using? She has said to her, "Look, I won't drop you on this descent, but the caveat is you have to help me in the valley." Which doesn't really play out. She kind of gives a few soft turns at the beginning of the valley. There's an exchange between the two of them. And then Royackers goes, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not riding. So she'd waited for her on the descent and it sort of played out that she wasn't actually going to help her. All the time behind. Nui Adoma isn't eating massively back into this gap, but she's not. She's still in this. We're still in this window of like 40 seconds to a minute 30 that everything is still on the cards.
Yes. When you've got Alpe d'Huez.
You still got Alpe d'Huez
right,
to finish.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we hit Alpe d'Huez and Nui Adoma basically finds her legs and matches Vollering up the climb. Shout to Sarah Gigante, who I think did the third fastest time going up.
Sick.
There's also a whole other really interesting dynamic that plays here is that the descending skills of the riders, because they don't do these, well, I'm not going to say because I don't know the reasons, but is very, very different across the pro peloton. And so you do have riders like Gigante, who's one of the best climbers in the world, but dog shit going downhill. And so she lost a lot of time on the descent and managed to bring it out. So you got this other kind of thing that plays out. It's like yo-yos going around the place. But anyway, we get to the climb and this gap maintains all the way to the top. And like I said, see, Royackers is like the joker in all this because she's actually in front of Vollering and they're together to the last K. Finally, Vollering drops her, gets enough of a gap to get, I think, the 15 seconds that she needed on her. Gets the bonus.
Ahead of her.
Correct.
Yep.
Gets the bonus seconds. Royackers comes second, so she gets bonus seconds.
And then the clock's running.
And then you've got this incredible, you've basically got this minute playing out with Nui Adoma. But then another joker to all this is that Nui Adoma is finishing with, I don't remember the name of the person who ended up coming third, but she beats her in the sprint for third, taking those bonus seconds. And so when Nui Adoma crosses, everyone's then doing the maths because they thought she'd get this bonus second. She doesn't get them. And the image, I was here last week or the week before saying I think I've just saw the best photo of anyone winning a bike race, which was Remco at the Olympics. But the image of Nui Adoma on the ground as she literally just gets the news is one of the best athlete photos I think I've ever seen. Just that emotion on her face is incredible.
You could have put a link in the notes here for me.
I mean, I'm trying to keep you up to date with these things. So hang on, I'll just ask our producer to put that online for us.
Oh, there we go. Wow. Oh yeah, full on.
I mean, not to change it too much, but it's the Trump POV angle of that photo. Yeah, pretty cool. So just the way that final day played out, and then of course you come back to. Okay, so Demi Vollering showed that she was the superior, climber, whatever.
Sorry, how had she lost a minute more than what's going on here? How is she more than a minute behind in a week?
I feel like you're trying to tee me up here, Jesse.
I'm honestly not. I'm just.
That's good.
I'm asking. This is the most logical questions.
This is why the people come to the NERO show. So stage 5, a sprinter's type finish, and there is a crash outside I think it was like 5.8K. It was one of those classic just outside moments. Vollering goes down pretty hard, and is actually taken out by her teammate. I think I'm right in saying Loretta Wiebes takes her out. Not only does she not stop none of her team stop. And she loses that time from the crash. And more sort of plays out from this that Wiebes is quoted as saying that she saw a yellow thing go down. This is Vollering in the yellow jersey, her team leader. She saw this go down and whatever. I'm going to sprint for whatever it was. None of her teammates waited, and she lost that time in that moment.
So if you're looking back, if a teammate stops, that easily saves 4 seconds in pacing, so she probably wins overall, right?
Yeah.
Far out.
As a pure action on the road, just despicable. No two ways about it. But this team and has kind of got a bit of a history of this. I don't know whether it's particularly with Vollering or what, but they really, I don't know whether it's a team that just has really bad team culture. I know that's a massively overused word when it comes to professional sport, but it really does seem like a dog eat dog, not in a good way, because there's some teams that can do the dog eat dog thing, but are still professional about it when it comes to race day. But that doesn't seem to be the case with this one. There seems to genuinely be a dislike of Demi Vollering, either just amongst this team or this is me as a viewer, as a commentator. There seems to be a dislike of her for some reason, beyond just.
She leaving the team?
Yeah, so that's dynamic is playing out as well. It's not officially.
Right.
She's not officially announced, but yes, she is. She is set to be leaving to the French team. I think FDJ Suarez or whatever it is. Suarez. That's not
FDJ
right.
Juarez.
It's the French Spanish contingent. Yeah. So, but I mean, look, that's not particularly relevant. She wouldn't be the first professional cyclist to have signed at a different team and still be, No,
still gigantic benefit to the team if they were to win, regardless of if your rider's leaving or not.
I think I wrote something in the notes about like it felt like this team just either was sleepwalking through the whole tour, just under the impression that she was going to just dust everyone up on the last stage and they could do whatever they want for the rest of it, or there was a genuine, you know what, we actually are going to prioritize everything else in this team first, and then second is winning the Tour de France. It honestly felt like that as it sort of went further and further on. But I mean that's the almost soap opera element that played out. Other kind of things from me worth noticing was, what do you think about team culture there in professional cycling? Is it something that you would spot, care about? Do you think it moves the needle? I mean, we've all been on teams where there's someone in the team who you don't necessarily catch up with for coffee every second week.
I don't really understand, because from this situation, talking about especially that crash thing where apparently the teammates didn't stop, which seems bizarre. That's way beyond team culture. That's just basic. As a professional athlete, that's not following what I'm guessing should have been the instructions of the team. I mean, that's not team culture. That's just your best shot as a team of winning has crashed. You should stop and pace them. Like, what's that got to do with culture?
Well, I think it comes from, personally, I think it comes from there's cliques, whatever, in every team, and clearly Demi is on the complete outside of that. So all the chats, all the group rides will just be the other guys, and they will have, and it ultimately plays out that Wiebes sees, she knew who it was. She knew who crashed. The person in yellow, there's only one person, and that's Demi Vollering.
But doesn't the DS then go through the radio and go...
Well, maybe the culture goes further. Maybe they all hate her. I mean, that clearly...
Okay.
I mean, to have not had... Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's not only bad culture, but it's incredibly unprofessional. But I can see it happening from bad culture, is my point. Is like, Wiebes crashes her. Like, basically crashes her. So even out of embarrassment for crashing someone, you would turn and see and go, oh, shit, I'll help her come back. No, stuff you. I hate you.
That would be team culture. That one person that goes, I'm going to pretend like I didn't really know what just happened. I'm just going to keep going. That's one example. What about the other 6 riders? And then the team car who should have a live stream. Did the message not go through? Did the DS not make that call? Did they make that call and everyone ignored it? Yeah. It seems like that's a pretty, maybe I'm curious to go back. I got to go back now and watch I'll watch Lantern Rouge's video. I want to see how this thing played. It seems really bizarre given that, she was so clearly the favorite. Like, you imagine Tadej Pogačar crashing on stage 3 of the tour, and he's just there rolling it in on his own. Like, that would be just unbelievable. Like, it just wouldn't happen because it's so incredibly unprofessional, regardless of what the culture is. So that's really weird.
The weird part, I mean, I know what the team's defense is because Blanka Vash, the Hungarian champion who's on SD Works, actually won that stage. So it was kind of one of these reduced bunch sprints because of the crash happening. That said, there's the group behind. So the kind of consensus is that she shouldn't have waited because she was essentially contesting the win for the stage. But there's this second group on the road that includes Wiebes, who gets back to like 20 or 30 seconds behind the winner. So she would have genuinely known that she wasn't going to get a result. She's a sprinter. She would have known that she's not going to get there. To have not then waited. There's this whole group of them. There's like Voss and Wiebes.
Yeah, but where's all the other riders?
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's just 5. Okay, you got the one that crashed her. You've got the sprinter. So you go, okay, maybe you could give him a pass. Where's the other 4? Given if it's 7 or 8 riders on a team or 5 riders. Okay. Yeah, I feel have you been doing kind of, what's the consensus? What's the post? Is everyone I feel a bit sorry for Demi Vollering. Am I on the right vibe or what?
That's why I come back to this question of why does everyone hate her? Because there does seem to be this, like, now there's a genuine sadness for her that she didn't get the result because of this particular situation. But at the time, it's like everyone's like, oh, yeah, well, whatever. It's Demi type thing. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
That timing's really rough. You've got post men's tour, post Olympics. Unfortunately, because it's an Olympics year, that's a unique issue every 4 years. Also, start of the men's Vuelta later in the season, so sort of end of August. That's a rough slot in there.
It definitely suffered.
Wasn't it before the men's tour last?
No, it was just after. It was
right after.
So it basically played out that the first stage was on the same day as the Champs-Élysées stage, which would normally be how this would play out. I would love to see the Tour de France men's continue the Nice time trial finish than the Champs-Élysées stage. Can I just say?
You're so wrong there.
No, I hate that celebration. I hate that celebration stage.
What is wrong with you?
I hate it.
What?
Hate it.
Everything
about it.
Oh my God.
Hate everything
How
about
has
it.
this not come up before? You are so wrong.
It cheapens our sport. To have this.
What do you mean? To ride and have guys sprinting to the death on the Champs-Élysées?
Well, do that then. Make it a race day. I just hate this. Oh, it's a race, not a race thing. Because have you ever done a race, a club race, where it was a race that wasn't a race? No, because it's not.
I've
impossible.
never done it. Well, they're not a 3. It's not. I haven't done 20 prior stages of a Grand Tour to justify having a non-race race. The jump, that was shocking. They ride along. The team get arm in arm and they drink champagne, and then you hit the Champs-Élysées, and then someone fires a shot, and the guy's duking it out for the break, and then it's so good. Yeah.
I would say last stage of the tour, I will allow the same parkour as the road race in the Olympics. Do that. Finish underneath the Eiffel Tower, proper up that street, Memont Street or wherever it was. Yep, make it a full classics day. Just this, no, I hate the parade day. Hate it.
So wrong.
I've won. Oh, but I haven't really because there's a little gap. Oh, maybe if they
and they
tacked,
come out
but
in
they
all
don't.
the fresh bike and everything's yellow and the bottle cage is yellow and the wheel logos are yellow. The bloody tire logos are yellow and it's
Perfect segue, Jesse. Perfect segue. That's enough of actual talking about the bike racing. Can we talk about the tech? Can we talk about the gear?
Yeah, go.
That's actually what I really enjoyed about the Tour de France Femme this year. Now that you've mentioned the yellow bike, the yellow decals, can you explain to me why Cassia Nieuwiadoma's Canyon Aeroed in yellow glittery looks shit? I don't understand it. I'm looking at it. I love the Aeroed. I love generally that Canyon SRAM kit. Why am I looking at this bike and going, it looks like it's from Kmart? What is it? I mean, I was there with the Wiggins bikes, Cadell's BMC. Actually, no, that wasn't that good. Now I think about it. Why? Why is that not working for me? I'm going to keep this silence in. I'm just going to listen to the silence. You got nothing?
No, you're going to have to cut some of it out. Hold on. The problem is, I can't tell if I'm agreeing with you because you've set me up by saying that and now I'm looking at it thinking it looks shit, or if if that's a genuine thought I would have had, because I am agreeing with you after the fact that you've already said it. Maybe it is just the Canyon brand showing its colors. There's something real when Tadej Pogačar rolls out his Colnago and it's all yellow, there's a froth there. You are right that when Canyon do it, I am agreeing with you. There is a Kmart look around that. I'm like, there is, but they've done it well because they've got the yellow logos on the SRAM red levers on the zip wheels.
I mean, it's pimped. It's got the yellow livery on the hammerhead. I just don't know why that's not working for it. It's got the SRAM decals on the crankset. I just do not understand it. Maybe I was thinking a bit more about it. Have we seen the Aeroed on in the full yellows? We potentially haven't seen that. Now I think back because I don't think Van der Poel's ever worn yellow.
No, the Movistar rider, Annemiek van Vleuten had one because she won a couple of years ago.
Mate, I'm not sure if because she was the world champ at the time, she might have just been running the world champ bike over the yellow livery kit one. Don't know, but yeah, fair point.
Does it need yellow handlebar tape? Because I'm looking at
that's true.
Tadej's yellow Colnago and damn, why? I think it's a handlebar tape. I'm calling it. No, it's got yellow handlebar tape. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's black handlebar tape. It's a handlebar tape. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Just on the Aero though, I did find it interesting because she does run the Ultimate a good bit, but on the world's biggest stage for women's cycling, she ran the Aero bike, and I had a sniff around most of them. So all the Movistar riders ran it. They all ran the Aeroed. It was not many pure climbing bikes to be seen, actually, which is interesting because you do often see in the women's Pello a little bit more of the lightweight bike being used. But yeah, so her and Roy Akers both ran the Aeroed. Kit bike combo of the tour for me was the Human Powered Health. So they had like the EF Giro 2020, whenever that was, styled kit on as their like Tour de France special. Mixed it in perfectly with that Factor. I gotta say that Factor is pretty sexy. And yeah, so for me that was the kit bike combo win for me.
Okay. Yeah, orange bottom. They do, the paint looks kind of cool. Orange bottom bracket, then fading through pink up to that purpley color. Yeah, nice.
So sniffing through some of the photos from particularly that last stage, I mean, I will say that the SD Works, S-Works, it is nice. It really is nice. They've done again, really gloss finish on it. But I want to show you a photo, one particular photo, Jesse, and I'll obviously I'll flash this up on the screen, but it's Demi Vollering, I think climbing Alpe d'Huez. Royaca's on her wheel, and the way she's holding her hoods, she's got her entire 4-digit fingers holding the hoods in behind the brake lever. Go back to Royaca's behind her. She's got 2 fingers over the brake, 2 fingers beneath, and they're both riding a SRAM hood. So there's no difference there. How do you ride in the hoods?
Shimano.
No, the one behind. Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, she is too. You're
It's
right.
a Shimano. Yeah.
How do you ride your hoods? Are all your finger digits behind?
Under no circumstances is there a free brake lever. At least index finger around the front.
Okay.
If not 2.
That's what
Two
I
around the
thought.
front. Usually, if someone doesn't have any fingers around the front, it's usually their reach is a bit long. And so they're trying to artificially shorten the reach by grabbing further back on the levers and then not having any fingers around the brakes. Because she can't, like, I guess if you're going up a hill and you know you're guaranteed you don't need to touch your brakes, but even then, it's just not as comfortable.
You look at her left hand and the way that's holding, and you can see her thumb coming in there. That I don't think I've ever put my hands. I don't think I'd be able to fit my 4-digit fingers underneath the hood like that. So maybe potentially is just someone with smaller hands. But then with someone with smaller hands, thoroughly the reach adjust would be dragged in even more. So okay, that doesn't make me feel because it's something I'd never really ever thought about until seeing that photo and thinking, holy shit, have I just been riding my bike completely the wrong way?
No, that's weird. Certified weird. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thoughts in general just about that S-Works setup? I mean, it's S-Works top to bottom. Is it doing it for you?
So on Demi's leg,
Mhm.
on the thigh towards the end of the is that some, are we foaming?
Oh,
Are these soap duds? Is that what that is? This is a
Hang
thing.
on.
If anyone's ever done a bunch ride in the rain and someone hasn't properly done the rinse cycle on the bib shorts, and there can be some foamage around the saddle area, and if it gets too much, the foam can actually start to flake off. And there have been situations where I have been hit by someone's frothed up chamois foam from leftover detergent, which is rather disgusting. And that looks way too big to be a bit of a snot blow. That potentially is a...
is it that or is it an old-fashioned exploding gel? I just think that could be I've ripped it open. It's done the old slide down all over your,
Pros usually aren't going to... They have got their detergent, laundry, wash cycles all dialed in. I'm not expecting it at that level.
Now, I've been a little bit critical of SD Works, the whole way it played out, et cetera, but did you see the shot of Vollering putting the jacket on at the top of the Glendon?
I did see that, yes.
Greatest moment in cycling history. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I saw this live and I was just like, have you reinvented? I mean, I'm just watching it again there. That must have been practiced. It has to have been practiced. To have just slid the arm through. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Look, I was impressed. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's one of the best moments in cycling history, but it was very impressive. You know, a lot of people wouldn't have even tried that on a ride.
No.
Because genuinely, you'd just pull over and put your jacket on. What are you doing? But if you've raced or you've just happened to try that on a ride, fuck, there's been some times, there's a few minutes there of pulling around and then you're worried that it's going to drop down and get like sucked into the wheel chainstay area. Yeah, that's well played.
I would suggest Jai Hindley watched that video and probably laughed. Rude a decision he made. Well, it's just weird. Like, here's a team that's willing to think about the 0.5% that was putting a jacket on, but isn't actually willing to drop a team back to pull your rider back. But yeah, anyway, just finally that S-Works setup, you're happy with that? You're on board? It's the package, Jesse. I just wanted to comment on the package. That's all.
Yes.
Because that's why you're there. You're on the package.
It's about run-of-the-wheel pro bike, nothing special.
Moving on to the other part of this time of year that excites me a little bit, and that's the pro cycling transfers. Now, sadly, we're not getting any bike brand transfers apart from the Ridley one coming into X.
And the Astana China bike.
Well, do we know if that's on?
Yeah, that was fully.
It is on.
Fully announced. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So we're all on wheel top.
No. What?
No, sorry.
XDS or whatever it is. Yes. No, they're not riding. They're not riding.
That would be interesting.
They are not riding wheel top.
There is a Continental team that is meant to be riding wheel top at the moment.
Okay. Meant to be.
Meant to be, but they're not actually on their bikes.
All right. Well,
it's in the Asian tour. I don't want to go on about it.
Okay, right.
But yeah, it's in the Asian tour.
Oh, some good little bubble chat there.
Like
I don't think that's making it to the World Tour, at least not in 2025. So I haven't heard anything else there either.
So which leaves us with riders.
There are holes to. Does that leave holes to fill? No, because it just leaves bike brands out in the lurch. You got Astana. It's not Astana. Willier. They're not ridden by us, but they're already with the French. One of the French teams. Then you've got Ridley, who weren't in the World Tour, back in. And then, it all is one nice little...
Did anyone surprise you this year? Any bike brand go above? I mean, there's the ones that aren't going to move, the Cervelos, the S-Works, the ones that are pretty planted. But in terms of that second tier list of professional, of bike brands that are on teams, anyone sort of maybe come out of the pack on the froth scale? Anyone drop back a bit in the pack, maybe, that you can think of?
I will be just still slightly dumbfounded if Colnago don't go another year without having a new version of a road bike. Because the V4RS was just an updated V3 RS, so especially given how advanced their time trial bike is, if it's 2025 and maybe Pogacar, you could probably argue not as big, but for the classic riders and stuff, for their domestiques to still be on the V4 RS again next year, I'm kind of surprised because it's not in line with where they're at with all their other tech and their time trial frame. So. Colnago would like to see a new bike come out of the woodworks, a new V5 RS, or just like a Colnago concept, which was their aero bike, V2.
Wasn't it the Nitrogen or something?
No, that was the Argon.
That was the Argon,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. They had, so it's the Colnago concept was their aero road bike, maybe a updated version of that, something like that I would like to see.
I think the Miele... I had zero expectations for the Miele.
We're going to say overperformed?
I think it overperformed. Yeah.
Stage win at the Tour?
Stage win at the Tour. Someone called us out in the comments on that. They were like, oh, you guys gave this shit. It bloody won a stage. I was like, it did. Fair point. But it won the gravel stage. It's kind of a gravel bike. So maybe that's my out clause there. But yeah, I think generally, it's lifted the... Even just anecdotally in my little bubble, it's certainly lifted the chat on the Miele. I do still stand by everything I've kind of said about it in terms of where it sits in the market, but just on a pure overperformance at a professional end, yeah, I'm gonna give it a pass.
Yeah, I think because this is the first year it's been in the World Tour. Won a stage of the Tour de France. Tick, done.
Yep. And a bike that doesn't register much in my life, again. The Orbea, I will say I do think probably overperformed a little bit on Lotto Destiny. That big fat aero bike kind of, I didn't mind it. I think kind of, again, it's just a brand that I don't see a lot of. So the only time I see it really is in professional cycling. So yeah, it kind of popped away a bit.
Just quickly scrolling through the results of the Vuelta, just to have a look at the teams. I'm kind of going, ooh, okay. Giant?
Par.
Yeah.
Par.
I haven't seen
There's
it.
a lot of
What's
brands.
it done?
There's Giants, Cannondale. I think there's a lot of brands like that have just they played a par round, a couple of birdies, couple of bogeys. Probably doesn't mean anything to you, but
it's a golf reference.
It's a golf reference. Maybe.
Van Rysel came in hot and just kind of
fizzled,
slightly fizzled. So see where that one goes. Oh, sorry, other one. In terms of we're talking updates, Merida Reacto.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Merida Reacto. I mean, with that, you've really milked that silhouette. I mean, that's been running a long time. And it's Tour Magazine's tested it pretty well. They seem to be able to get the weight not horrible, but you're kind of looking at that and you're like, geez, is that going for another season? Usually if they were going to update it, you probably would have seen it by now. Would you expect if they had a 2025 update? We would have already seen that, surely.
I feel like the scheduling of Merida is always very strange because of the whole US specialized, we can't go there thing. So you're not really our market. And then we've got to leverage the Asian market. And so then we go with big outlets. Yes, you're right. I mean, that was on the tip of my tongue was, geez, another year. I mean, Wout Poels has just signed for Bahrain Victorious. Bahrain Victorious just in general, they're like this sort of, are you a big budget oil team? No, not really. Kind of, what are you? What are you doing over there? So I don't know. I just think in general that team's a bit like needs a bit of a refresh. Maybe
maybe their budget isn't that big.
No, it's not.
And maybe that's just kind of that's what you do when you're sort of that lower middle rung of budgets. Yeah.
I will say,
I mean, Merida's a massive brand. I mean, come on, give us something new. Yeah.
The only other thing was, so Ineos were riding at the Vuelta. They're on the new dogmas, obviously, but they're doing something funky with the paint. So the article was along the lines of they're using some super light frames that have been repainted by a Formula One company. And like at any time in cycling, you reference Formula One, everyone's like, oh my God, it must be amazing.
Yep.
But putting that aside for a moment, to me, I love a bit of carbon weave. Glossy carbon weave, it reminds me of the old Time that I had, the Time RXS, whatever it was, had like you could see the weave underneath it. Like that, no issues with it.
I was this close to going nuts on this because this was a cycling news article, and then in there they had a video saying behind the scenes catch up, blah blah blah, and it was a video by the paint company showing the frames being painted, and I clicked it and I was watching the video, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a direct mount rim brake frame.
Oh yeah,
look at it. I'm going in, I'm like, is that? I'm like, yes, that says that's the X light. That's the light version of the Dogma, and that's I guarantee you that's a rim brake direct mount. And I was like, holy shit, like they're gonna Vuelta, Rampas Inhumanas, they're gonna roll out the rim brake frames. And I scrolled 4 years ago the video was.
Yeah.
So they were doing this when they were still on rim brakes, and this article, which has only just popped up now. And they did actually, if I had taken the time to read it, they did do a whole paragraph talking about how this video was 4 years old and they've been doing it for years. But anyway, I thought that was I was getting very excited for a moment there. Yeah.
In general, I kind of feel like the Dogma is suffering from the fact that
no, it's not.
No, just like its froth factor is. No, you don't think it's suffering from the fact that Ineos are a bit of a second tier team? No. I mean, it wouldn't stop me. Just so you know, Pinarello still waiting. Because there's a lot of like I mean, I've given up on the sort of treks. Like I just don't think it matters anymore. You know, the Trek people are the Trek people, and that's
so
all
you
good.
think for the Pinarello people, Team Sky Ineos matters?
100%. I'm thinking of the London chop rider. You know, fellow you used to coach. I can't say his name. But he's over. I can. Well,
no,
I can't.
I don't know.
But
okay.
Where he's gone, he's riding those sort of chop rides in London. I reckon the chats there would have to be, just see again, bloody, can't even name a rider, you know? I can't say Ethan Hayter because he's
Where
gone.
are you going with this?
Well,
you're trying to name an Ineos rider?
Yeah, I was trying to name an Ineos rider who's kind of relevant. Sorry.
Right.
Like Josh Tarling.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I just see him fucking smashing, like I reckon that chat moves the needle
I
in
see what
the
you're
dogma
saying.
crowd. You know? Whereas, okay, there's always going to be the dentist dogma crowd, but I don't think that's all of them. I think there's the performance crew that want Ineos smashing it and smashing it on a dogma. So I think it does affect it.
I'd maybe agree with you in like 2 or 3 years. So I think like the team's visibility is so high that for the time being doesn't matter. But I might get there, especially with the other teams fighting for this. Yeah, there's like this battleground that's going on for super team status. And so you've got Astana with the China money. You've got Bora with the Red Bull money. You've got what we'll might get onto in a sec. You've got Tudor Pro Cycling with the sort of the Swiss brands trying to get behind. So you do have, and you've got like, so Julian Alaphilippe is going to Tudor. So you've got, not saying that Tudor are going to be in the super team budget area, but the constant kind of little shuffle. If you say at any given point, there's 3 super teams, you would probably say Ineos are, especially that news with Dan Bigham leaving, that they aren't a super team anymore. But there's always a delayed, like the downfall of that into like the average person that's casually following cycling is a little delayed, but potentially getting there. Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good point. Do you want to talk about some of the individual riders, or we?
Well,
I mean,
can I follow on with that? So
yeah,
you put these in here, so you did this homework. But one of the one that stands out to me, as I just said, so Red Bull going with Bora, they've signed Finn Fisher-Black, which he's got a few pro wins from this year, and I think very early in the season too. But like, not a big name yet, but just really talented.
He's a weapon,
absolute weapon. So that's good young signing, and then like Lawrence Pithy,
that's
like.
I'm so happy about that.
2 Kiwis.
I'm massively on that bandwagon for next year's classic season.
Already not like could be good. 2 already proven pro level winners. Good for team, as far as I'm aware. Good for team culture.
Ooh.
Good for banter. 2 Kiwis. I like that. That's 2 good pickups from Red Bull, I think.
Kiwi banter though. Let's not go too far. Not go too far here. Yeah, I agree about the Pithy thing. I'm stoked about that actually. So, because he'll fit a really good little classics unit now actually. So, on board with that. The big name one obviously is Julian Alaphilippe going to Tudor. One question for you: Is this Sagan going to Total Energy, or is this relevant?
I think this is 100% legit. I don't think this is a retirement move. I don't think this is a sort of money move. I think this is Tudor, with evidence, is growing, seemingly have the right approach. And I think even this season, Julian Alaphilippe looks like he's getting stronger, and I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think it'll be a good move. That's one to watch, I think.
Yep, I agree.
And they also signed, it's not in this list here, but they did sign Marco Haller as well, Tudor. So another very experienced pro rider moving from Bora, Red Bull, to Tudor. So some good, well-established names going onto that relatively new team.
And so that's a team that they'll go into next year being the last year of the relegation promotion merry-go-round, as a team trying to qualify to go up the following year. Tudor itself is, so they're under the same ownership as Rolex. So I think it's the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. Essentially, like, this isn't just some little boutique watch brand that's just throwing a little bit of money around. This is a big, big company that spends a lot of money on sponsorship. So just to back up kind of what you're saying about the super teams and the budgets required to do that, this is a brand that is very much willing to play in the Red Bull type space when it comes to sponsorship money. I mean, you just have to look at the things that Rolex sponsor. I mean, they're not in F1 anymore, but they were a naming right sponsor in some of the F1, like Wimbledon, all the biggest events they're involved in. So, yeah, because my initial thought was like, oh, that's nice. This little watch brand's getting involved. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
No, this isn't cute.
Yep.
This is serious play.
Yeah.
Vuelta,
Mm-hmm.
last little bit just on the Vuelta. Any any picks, takeaways, excitements? Are you intending to watch this last Grand Tour of the year? Are you into your red jerseys? Talk me through it, Jesse Coyle.
Does it matter? Why do you have to? Why does it matter what I watch, Chris? I'll follow it. Yeah, I'll follow it. I want to see how Jay goes. I can't believe he's back.
Yeah,
Like, what the hell?
Mm.
Amazing. Like, and he's in good shape. He's not. Oh, let's roll him out. Like, not that you would do this. It just makes no sense. But he's good enough to ride again. Let's kind of get him to fill a spot for the like. No, he's coming hot. Time trial's good. Yeah, really great. And like new dad. Congrats. Like,
yeah, I think he had like 2 days at home.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
That's actually kind of sad.
It is.
That's like it's pretty like worth it. Just because that's the career, that's what you've chosen, but that's pretty rough.
Mm. Yeah. I think he had like essentially sort of 1 full day at home, and then pretty much had to pack the bags and get going.
There's something that's beyond just tough. Like that is like a biological, like your body, it does not want to just. Oh, I'm just gonna leave my wife and my 1-2-day-old baby at home. I'm gonna go off and race bikes. Like that would be. Crazy hard.
And not to make this like, if Jay listens to this, like, oh my God, I can't believe I did leave. And suddenly he goes running back to Andorra. But I mean, it's not like he's leaving Brie at home with her family and all the support network. He's left her in Andorra where they have some friends, but it's a very different sort of support network, I imagine.
100%. Yeah, that's all the more reason to get some results.
Yes.
So I reckon Jay's just going to see, surely just going to have to go on a vengeance mission for missing my first 3 weeks of my first board.
Can we start what was the GC? It was GC Kuss? GC Vine.
Watch
Vine.
out, Vuelta Peloton. He's got an angry Vine. Yep.
Do you think Primoz is the man to beat for this?
Wouldn't have a clue. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Do you have insights? I don't even know who's there. What's chat?
Well, Primoz is the favourite. There's this kind of talk.
What's Sepp Kuss, is it? Is he there?
So Sepp Kuss, Simon Yates. So UAE's kind of done that semi-stacked thing where they've just got this insane. So they've got Almeida and Yates with basically Jay and Sivakov, I think, as the sort of backup guys. So I think that's the majority of it. All right, good pro cycling chat. I would be super interested in the comments about the team culture thing. I would like to know if people think that does matter in a cycling team specifically. Let us know down below. All right, quick word from today's show partner, Bike Exchange. Bike Exchange is the premier online marketplace for connecting bike shops and customers. How it works is bike shops list their bikes on the website where customers can buy them, either shipped or for local pickup. Bike Exchange is a great place to find previous year's models that may not have been sold yet, which is kind of what we want to have a little chat about here, JC. Both of us have picked out bikes that are on the site at the moment. What have you seen?
Yeah, so this was on our NERO landing page at Bike Exchange, but this is what you kind of got to do on Bike Exchange because there's only one size of this bike, and I've picked it for a reason. For regular viewers of the show, it's the best version of the Madone, the Trek Madone SL7 Gen 7. So the previous generation, what I'm calling faster version of the Madone, 15% off 2024 version. $5499.99 US dollars, but it's only in a size 52. So if you ride a size 52 and you want to get the previous generation Madone, there you go. It is located in Loves Park, Illinois.
I did a similar thing. So what I did is I went to the landing page, went to best deals, then went to best pro bikes. So clearly we're talking about a certain echelon of bike here. And I reckon I picked out today's winner. It's the Super 6 Evo High Mod. Current generation, bucket load of sizes still available. So down from $1,350 to $9,999. SRAM Red, the carbon, what are they called? Hologram wheels or Holotech? Oh, no, hologram, that's right. Their wheel sets. Yeah, SRAM Red for under 10K, current generation top level pro bike that's the same as being raced around currently at the tour. rate it. In Florida, drop them a message, do a test ride, do whatever you need to do, get on it. So as Jesse mentioned, we have our own landing page there, bikeexchange.com/NERO. There's a hand-picked list of bikes on there. Go ahead, check that out. And thanks again to Bike Exchange for supporting today's episode. Welcome to the NERO Swimming Show. I've been kind of obsessed a bit with Cam McAvoy. So Cam McAvoy is he just won the 50-meter freestyle in the Paris.
King Cam? Is it?
King
We had
Cam?
King Carl. Now is it King Cam? Is that what they're calling him?
Was he the 100, I think?
Was he the 100?
Yeah, I think he was
Okay.
the 100.
Both sprint different
boys.
distances. Right.
Yeah, so he won the gold in Paris. And the buzz around him was, because this was his third or fourth Olympics, he kind of missed the finals in Tokyo and went on this exploratory educational journey to completely revamp his training, his mindset into how to prepare for a 50-meter freestyle. And without going into the absolute depths of it, essentially it was to just bulk cut out an incredible amount of miles that he was doing as a swimmer and replace that with some strength work and like abbreviated way of saying is like calisthenics type stuff, like overall all body strength, flexibility training, and that formed the primary part of his training.
Right. Okay.
And I kind of sent this on to you because I was kind of just buzzing about this, thinking, oh my God, this guy's just revamped his training, and look at he won the 50-meter freestyle by half a body length. That doesn't happen. So
he's rewritten.
Should we all now
on swimming? Well, it happens in cycling too. Like, to me, this story has essences of the Jonas Abrahamsson, I gained 20 kilos and changed my body type story. Also, they both have a similar vein in the sense that I kind of not necessarily tried less, but sort of instead of trying really hard to diet, I ate more and gained weight. And instead of swimming 30 kilometers a week, I swam 5 kilometers a week in my training. So doing less and getting more on that vein. And then you've got the other side, which is the Keegan Swenson, I wasn't training enough volume. I needed to do 35-hour weeks and 7-hour tempo rides and crazy volumes and stuff. And so this story, I was getting vibes of all those that always pop up and kind of make you question everything of like, oh, hold on. Maybe I only need to ride 5 hours a week. Or hold on, maybe I need to do twice as much volume. And then, like, obviously the problem is that's not a good way to assess anything, is by listening to some professional athlete or elite athlete's story and then going, oh, that all sounds great. I'm going to do that. But I mean, clearly it worked for him. So there's definitely something in there. And I always then I start to ask so many questions. Like, it brings up a bazillion questions. Like, you were doing that much training, okay? Was the reason you're going so much better now because the new training you're doing is just better for you and is adding a lot more to you? Or was it the fact that the training you were doing previously was perhaps way too much? And not that the new training has lifted you up, perhaps just the old training mentally and maybe physically was dragging you down. And so you're now going faster almost in spite of the new training, just because you're not doing the training that was defective for you, essentially. Which I don't know if that's the case. That's just one question. Or maybe this new training is doing with all this strength work, maybe there was some specific weakness which, for whatever reason, Swimming Australia was unable to detect in him. And this has somehow unlocked that, and he's a lot stronger, and now he can swim. I mean, it's a 50-meter freestyle. It's 20 seconds. So, yeah, I think other questions. I mean, why were you training so much? It's a 20-second event.
Why do sprint freestyle trainers swim 20 Ks a week? Yeah.
But it seems that's why it's such a weird topic to bring up, because it seems such an obvious question of like, oh, that's dumb. Why would they? Why would you?
Well, I can tell you, this maybe doesn't answer the question, but it's been interesting looking, sort of sitting back and watching some of the commentary on this. I saw him interviewed. This was Steve Monaghetti, who's a marathon runner here in Australia. He was commenting on this Cam McAvoy's training, and this is Monaghetti, marathon runner, so he's old school, get your miles in. And his thing was, okay, this is great, this has worked for Cam, but it's only worked for Cam because he had what was the quote? Like the K's in the arms, from all the back in the day. Now he has that base, and so now he's put on these 2.5 years of specificity, which has then just like finely tuned the knife, sharpened the knife. And I heard that put to Cam, and he's kind of, well, he disagrees basically, but I mean, he can't use himself as an example to disagree because that's how his life's played out. But he has said that there are a number of junior athletes so the coach that he worked with, I think it's Tim, I can't remember, anyway, I should know, who he's worked with, who have basically, they're starting their swimming careers, and they're starting their swimming career as sprint athletes training under this program. So therefore using, that protocol, and we'll see whether they do need the K's in the arms.
But I listened to his interview too. He was essentially saying it's working for this young athlete. This is why these things get so ridiculous, because I'm not a swimming coach. I'm sure there is a really robust body of scientific research answering all these questions. So the question is then, if that's how, so swimming it's not sort of private, it's kind of private funded, but run by state institutes. So you'd say, okay, NSWIS, who are controlling the New South Wales Institute of Sport, controlling the New South Wales pathway athletes in those squads. Okay. If they are training with too high volume for the sprint side, obviously totally different for the longer events, is that because they think that's best practice? Why do they think that's best practice? Is it because the research, are they misreading the research? Does the research not exist? And maybe swimming is, I can always guarantee this is not the case. Maybe swimming is 20, 30 years behind. And I doubt that's the case. Or maybe, sometimes these things just happen because these squads, and when you're swimming in a squad, these kind of the traditional setups happen. Is you come in at 4:30, and we've got the session we've always done, and especially I find it a lot similar to rowing in the sports that have a big technical component. A lot of the coaches are technical. You're a swimming coach. I teach you how to swim fast, not how to manage the training. Whereas in cycling, it's almost an opposite.
That's interesting. And
same thing as rowing. And a rowing coach isn't a sports scientist with a physiology background. They are a rowing coach. How do I feather the oar? What do I do with my wrists? What is all the technique kind of things? How are you moving the boat? That's a rowing coach. And so in a rowing, or perhaps even in a swimming program, in these big institute setups, a lot of the time things can fall between the cracks, and there's no one actually getting the swimmers in this case to train properly. And perhaps the volume was too high, but it's not necessarily that Cam McAvoy has reinvented swimming physiology. It's just that I would say, from kind of seeing how these things work, it is more likely that the swimming coaches that are kind of controlling the bigger squads are perhaps not aware of it, and then you kind of just get stuck doing this sort of training because no one's actually overseeing it. And it's interesting even to compare in Australia between sports. Two sports that I'm more aware of. So you've got rowing and track endurance cycling, both heavily government funded. But seeing how differently they have gone. So you had in Paris Olympics, the men's team pursuit team break the world record, super successful, really amazing. In the rowing team, it's like the worst the Australian rowing team's done for ages. I think they got one medal in the
I think they
women's.
got one bronze.
One
in
bronze, the women's
pair,
I think, and then just so really bad, and that's in a sport that we invest in. And then I spoke to one of he didn't go to the Olympics this year, but one of the rowers, and he's kind of like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the training isn't monitored, and this is like, it would be kind of mind blowing to a cyclist. I mean, even a basic entry level sort of cyclist is monitoring their training, and even our online, even if you don't have a coach, most of the online platforms at least have some sort of monitoring to let you know how much you're doing and have some model of what's the optimal amount to do and kind of hold you to that. Whereas like even in the rowing program, that's not monitored. Because the coaches are generally more technical, and there's not really much physiology. Then in the track side of things, like our track coaches from the endurance side are like world leading. Like they are writing research papers on how to prepare for track events. I retweeted one the other week. They're always a bit behind. They're not giving you, a little bit. They're not giving you the latest bits, but they recently published. I think there's going to be 3 series of articles about the training that the track pursuit team did for, I think, the Commonwealth Games in 2018, 2019. So they're not giving you the latest, but that's fairly recent. So you've got like the coaching staff for Australian cycling teams, track endurance is leading in like training monitoring and all the different specific things regarding that as like cutting edge. And then in this same country, a sport that has the similar level of funding can be just totally the opposite. And so it looks like swimming in this case is, based on his story, is potentially more like rowing is, where it's there's a lot of swimmers and there's a lot of programs and things just get a bit lost, which is crazy because Australia's a good swimming country.
Yeah, well, and we just had an incredibly successful campaign. I mean, again, I don't even think this is a relevant anecdote, but I'll give it anyway. My eldest daughter, 10-year-old Catherine, has started going to a couple of swim squads, and she's attending them twice a week. And like the coaching is, okay, here's what we're doing, the sets or whatever it might be. But then the actual coaching is this is you finish your stroke here. Now I want your left arm to kind of not one time and she's 10, but like no one's come up and talked to her about her fitness load, or oh, you've come twice this week. Oh, you did a 150 on Tuesday. Oh, actually we'll tone it down today. Like it was none of that. It's just pure technique based.
We're so spoiled in cycling because thankfully in cycling we are one of the sports that is actually, if you kind of ranked where all the different sports sit, like cycling, road cycling in particular, is pretty far ahead in that space.
In the physiology side, but
yes.
I'd say the coaching of the actual bike riding isn't, because I have never had someone, apart from maybe the odd bike fitter every now and again, talk to me about my pedaling, ever. Like it's just okay. Yes, we've talked here about bike fits, and you and I talk a little bit we talk about experience and how we fit into certain angles and stuff. But as far as,
do you feel like there's big gains for you to make in your pedal stroke?
I don't know, because no one's ever talked
to me
about it.
There's not.
Maybe
there's a reason why no one's told you. Now, there are still technical aspects of cycling. Have you ever gone and done a descending class?
Man, I'm fucking gunned down.
We just talked about like the difference in descending in the women's Tour de France. There is a neglected part. I mean, and you hear, but it happens. There are teams where there's, wasn't that the Thibaut Pinot story? You got a descending coach and made up that ground. So that happens. I'd say like the technical side is more that there's not that much technique to it. A round, locked in pedal.
Though I do remember when the first power meter I ever got with those Garmin Vectors, and I had World Tour numbers some days and then C grade numbers the other day. But I remember the first time that it brought that pedal efficiency, smoothness thing on, and you had that graph on the Garmin that would come up, and I thought, holy shit, this is going to revolutionize cycling. And whether I was talking to you or Dan, and he's just like, oh, it's junk. Don't watch it. Don't listen to it. Don't pay attention to it. Just pedal your bike.
Pedal your bike, mate.
Like, I thought this was the thing that was gonna make me more super. Because no, I won't go in.
Yes, but unfortunately, that's not. Now I got a couple more things to go
Sorry,
on
I
here.
didn't mean to sidetrack you.
That's all right. Just to reiterate how far ahead cycling is. This is Tudor Pro Cycling, as we talked about. So the team Julian Alaphilippe's using this. They're not a World Tour team right now, so they're still that second division of professional teams. They're not on their site anymore, but a few weeks ago in their job listings, they had 3 open positions.
Just trawling the old team page.
This is what I do. Yep,
Yeah,
this is the stuff you got to look for. So they were advertising for, these are full-time roles, an aerodynamics engineer, an applied sports engineer, and a materials R&D scientist. This is for a second division team having full-time staff, and those are obviously field experts that then needs to be managed by. They'll have a head of whatever this department is, performance, head of sports science, whatever it is, head of research. So there's a head of role they've got to fill, and then they also were advertising an open PhD slot. So this is another thing that's available. By the way, application deadline is this 3 days. It expires on the 23rd of August. So if anyone is interested in doing a PhD on cycling aerodynamics, impact of fabric design, it's a collaboration between Loughborough University and Tudor Pro Cycling. It's going to take 3 years, and you're essentially going to be spending 3 years doing a research study on how aerodynamics fabrics are in a cycling clothing skin suit. Paid for by Tudor Pro Cycling as part of their research team to design a fast skin suit. So let me just read out some of the bits here. It's expected that this, if you want to apply, by the way, it's expected that the successful candidate will be a cycling enthusiast and be motivated to develop a career in the cycling industry. They'll need to have studied fluid mechanics and or aerodynamics as part of an engineering degree and have some experience in the use of wind tunnels and CFD, preferably as part of an individual project. The successful candidate will have access to a large open circuit wind tunnel at Loughborough University and advanced measurement techniques such as particle image velocimetry, as well as high performance computing and CFD simulation packages. They will work alongside the sponsor Tudor Pro Cycling, use the wind tunnel facilities at Silverstone Sports Engineering Hub, and if required, travel with the team to collect data. So they're going to be build a better understanding of fundamental fluid mechanics. This will be coupled to fabric and rider-specific parameters to predict and realize consistent drag reduction in race situations. So, how is that for an investment? And a long-term investment from Tudor Pro Cycling is we're going to pay some master's student to go on and do a PhD for 3 years. I'm guessing also, so you've got Tudor Pro Cycling, their university, which you have to work with for research, and then also they're sponsored by ASOS as their kit supplier to spend 3 years designing a skin suit. I mean, and that's just the research part. You will be working with the materials R&D scientist, which is their full-time.
Oh, of course.
Their actual position.
Yeah.
So they're going to have essentially 2 people full-time working on making a skin suit. I mean, when you look at something like that, we are lucky to have that level of detail in a second division team.
I'm actually I'm massively impressed by that. I really am impressed by that. Here I was thinking that they just, get whatever the new season kit is from their kit supplier and, okay, might run a few wind tunnel tests on the time trial bike with, a few key riders at the beginning of the season and that'll be pretty much it. But to think that, I wonder whether this is what are the funding tax implications maybe are that you can spend money on research rather than when it's aligned to a university that maybe that's beneficial for them, and then you maybe own more of the results, and that's potentially a good thing for ASOS being able to then license the results into public-facing kit eventually. I don't know. Yeah, I just it's a really interesting forward way of thinking.
Well, it's either way, it's still it's an investment. So yeah, maybe they've got a way to get their money back somehow through ASOS, but pretty crazy. Just as an example of, and then you've got like compare that to, I trained too much and then I did calisthenics and won an Olympic gold medal, and you're going, hold on, like what the fuck? Yeah, so that's just my kind of summary of that chat is it's always interesting and like a good to read those stories, even, the Jonas Abrahamson thing, and as a way of going, I really should objectively look at what I'm doing, make sure it makes sense. But, I wouldn't say a cyclist should go and cut their training by 9/10. There's...
All right, I think I've worked it out. I've unraveled the mystery of just cycling in general.
All right.
Specifically, when a bike holds its speed.
I knew this was going to be. It's going to be something about an aero bike or disc brakes. I can just smell it. Okay, I actually have disc brake chat. Oh yeah, screw your topic. Let's talk about disc brakes. Yeah. Yeah, because I'd only been riding in pretty good weather, and I had formed the opinion from my riding that in the dry the rim brakes are actually, I hadn't really noticed that much of a difference with the disc brakes, except for when it was a little bit wet, and because I haven't been doing these super long rides, the disc brakes hadn't blown my mind yet. Except I've done 2 rides since then. I went to the eastern suburbs of Sydney. It's been raining, like just slight drizzle for like a week. I also went up to Akuna Bay up north in Sydney. Both rides, both got drizzled on, and that's where it was really starting to come into its own, especially with the eastern suburbs ride. Sydney roads aren't very good, especially in that area. The roads aren't asphalt. They're kind of like Belgium roads. They're concrete slabs and slabs and slabs. So there's lots of gaps and they get wet and there's lots of paint. We love paint. Australia loves rules. The government loves bike lanes and lines and symbols and this and don't stop here and move there. And so there is concrete slabs and gaps and just paint everywhere. And when that's wet, I could not ride my TCR up there on the hoods in those conditions. And Sydney's also quite hilly as well. Lots of uphills, downhills. I couldn't ride it on the hoods in the wet because the braking power wasn't strong enough. So if it would get wet, I would instantly straight into the drops because that's where I needed that power. And that's night and day difference. As you would expect, you've got a freaking massive disc brake. I'm not saying anything new here. It was the first time I realized, wow, like I was able to stay on the hoods the entire time. Not one finger braking, but 2 finger braking over the front of the levers, and really comfortably able to stay there and not be having to do that like rim brake thing of preemptively kind of braking in case you have to slow down and then your hands are on the drops and it's all quite a bit sketchy. So yeah, disc brakes break better in the wet. You were giving me absolute truth bombs, Jesse. This is revelations, but it was cool. It was actually not that bad riding in the wet.
Mark it down, kids. The 20th of August, 2024. Jesse Coyle's decided disc brakes are better in the wet.
And something you said when you first got on disc brakes is, and I've also feel now, is the clean's easier. After.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Because it's just a hose down,
isn't it?
You don't have the brake gunk, which you have to really get in and scrape off the pads after riding in the wet, and it then kind of sprays up the back of the seat tube. So the clean is also easier.
The clean is basically a hose and a wipe down with a wax chain, and it becomes slightly dangerous because I wouldn't say you don't need to because this is why it's dangerous, but it's easy not to actually do a proper bike clean for a long time because you can keep the bike working really well on just a hose wipe down situation for quite a long time. That will catch up with you, obviously. But yeah, just that lack of gunk that used to sort of just generate around the actual calipers themselves, no issues. Now, I've gone the other way, Jesse, because you were on a text chain on Saturday with me, with myself and Edwin. And I think I don't know how much attention you were paying to this text chain.
Probably not much.
But it involved me sending videos and of a certain tinking front wheel. Now, I changed my 30mm front tyre, took it out, wanted to put the 28 on because the 30 was almost run through. You can't buy a 30 for love nor money in this country.
It's infuriating. Yeah.
So I got a 28, and I was actually, we'd had this chat a while ago. I was like, geez, these are blowing out to like 32 on the front. So I'm going to go back to a 28, which is probably blowing out to about 30 anyway. So I did that. Successful tubeless conversion. Well done, Chris. Fill more valves. Can I just say, while I'm on positives, they are actually, there's very few things in this world that make your life just easier. They're just better and easier. They haven't revolutionized everything, but you can. So the fill more valves are the ones that don't clog, and they you can use the sealant injector once you put them in, and it seals to the rim perfectly. It so there's no leakage around it. It fills really quickly. It's got some fast flow thing that actually allows the air to go in it much faster, so it's easier to actually
it's
set
sort
the
of
tire.
like pumping it up without the core in it.
I set that front wheel up with just a foot pump. Didn't even use the ghetto system.
No.
100%.
Yeah, no. I can do the same on my wider internal, the crafts.
Oh, can you?
And anything wider I can do with a hand pump.
But the benefit of these then is that they never clog. You just don't get the clog where you start pressing the core and there's no like bits of air come out. And so anyways, there's all that kind of stuff. The only downside is you do have to put the cap on. But once you just get in the actual practice of putting the cap on, anyway, I just want to say that because it just actually makes my life easier. So I'm happy about that. So I did that. Put my front wheel back in, Jesse. Oh, it'll be fine. Just mechanic now. I know what to do. So I, loosened them off and I did the thing and I, held the thing down, tightened them back up, tightened the caliper back up, took it off, spun it again, got worse. 2 hours later, and 2 hours later, and multiple messages between Edwin, myself, and you were on that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, why is this
You
in
were
a group?
It was clearly shouldn't have been on a group message, but you were. And I was legitimately just wanting to throw these disc brakes into the bin. I was absolutely done with this. And this was like the absolute down. This would just never happen on a rim brake bike. The day before a race, and because always the day before a race, something like this happens, and you're there going, well, fuck this. Like, I hate these stupid things. I can't get this to work. And ultimately, I fixed it, but I fixed it by having to take the brake pads out completely, push the pistons back out, and then like reassemble it all and put it back in, which I maybe should have done from the very beginning, but just the fact that I had to go down that whole rabbit
And there was
hole.
something, was it because the pistons were in or the spring? What's that thing called?
Yeah.
The brake pads sit in this lever contraption, and then you put that whole thing into the disc brake. I think that had lost its elasticity.
So one side of the disc pad just wasn't going back all the
how
way.
does that also, okay, you're kind of defending disc brakes here. How the frick does that happen?
Yeah,
All you did was
that's
took
what I
your
mean.
wheel out.
I'm not defending it. I hated the stupid things. Like the fact that I had to take that thing apart. I hate doing this stuff because I'm so shit at it. Because normally I would put it back together and it just wouldn't work. And you're right. So basically that whatever that little ring thing is, I had to like stretch it out and then push. I don't think that there was anything wrong with the pistons. They were back. So put the pads back in, which had no wear on them. But yeah, it worked. But there's just too much. I just don't understand how that happened, and it annoys me because all I did was take my wheel out.
I'm at a loss. How that happens. While we're on cons, I don't know. Suddenly, this has just turned into a pros and cons. But we're just anyway. I got stuff to say. I've been testing some different wheels, and obviously, different wheels is a different hub, and then where the disc brakes, because there is a absolute bee's dick between the pad and the rotors on a different hub. Now it's like, it's pretty much in the same spot, but it's not exactly in the same spot. And then so I changed the wheels. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, right. So now, seemingly, a wheel change, if you want to use a different hub or a different wheel set, is also wheel change plus a brake realignment to get it centered again, which I can do. It doesn't take ages, but it's an annoying extra step. Plus, then you've got the cost of things, and this has also started to add up, because then you go, okay, do I buy another new Dura Ace rotor, front and rear, or do I transfer the rotors? And I'm going, okay, I could transfer the rotors or buy new rotors. That's an extra cost, but then aren't the rotors wearing out at different rates, and then the pads would wear out at different rates? And does that matter? This is where we need Edwin on, because I just brings up I have just questions about how these things wear out.
The whole setup, the whole system is not designed for interchangeability between wheels. You are really forced into, this is your setup. You run it 24/7. Definitely. There's no changing around that. What I don't get is, where's the auto trim? I want auto trim on my calipers. Like, we got auto trim on a front and rear derailleur. This is probably going to be some stupid drip feed that they'll give us in 2032. It's like, let's wait for next year, Miller. Fucking SRAM red. I'll be, because it's going to have auto. They've probably already developed it. Probably sitting there in the warehouses.
You want flat mount DI2?
Yeah, I just want an auto
shift
trim.
across.
Why not?
Detect where the rotor is, and burp, burp.
Just like on the derailleur, you do little micro adjustments. Give me micro adjustment on the calipers.
So you want to attach a motor and a battery and a second cable to that caliper?
Well, hang on. We've already got a hose going in. Why can't we just run a little? Jesus, that can't be a big deal. Sort that out very, very easily, I would have thought.
Why do the pads have to be so close? This is the other thing I don't understand. Aren't you dictating the what's it called? The rate of like lever pull to the pads. I guess if you had them further, so the equivalent movement of the lever pull made the pads move further, you would go from no brake to like full brake lockup. So maybe that would do it.
Dead space, I imagine, in the lever pull.
This is going downhill real fast. I'm like, but why does it have to sit so? Just let them sit wider and then just move further when I pull the brakes. Then I wouldn't have to worry about this. Like, I changed hubs and it's 0.001 further over, and it's
or
rubbish.
You know how on rim brakes you've got like the opening clip on the cable, which, let's be honest, we probably have to use half the time. You swap a wheel in, it's not aligning properly, stuff. I'll just open the thing a little bit just to give myself a little bit more space. Give me that option on a disc brake. So I've got my tight. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're all running. Day before a race, ting, ting, ting. Oh shit! What do I do? I'll just use the little additional option that just gives the little pullback. That's fine. Gets me through the next setup until I remember Contador used to open his calipers on the climbs because he didn't want disc rub. He didn't want brake rub. Give me the same.
Other thing, I can't adjust the throw of the lever.
This is a proper just two old blokes shitting on.
Well, I can't. Brakes. So you pull the brake. Now you can adjust the reach of the lever. So you can bring the lever closer to the handlebar, but you can't adjust how long it takes until the brakes start to bite. And so, firstly, mine aren't even. My front brake, if you're pulling them in at the same speed, my front brake starts to engage before the rear brake. It did the same on L2 too. So I don't know what's going on here. And you can't adjust that. Whereas on rim brake, you just tighten the caliper and then the brakes. I like to have the brakes engaging like really quickly once I pull the lever, whereas it's totally out of my hands with the disc brakes.
I am not the person to answer this question, but I don't think that should be the case. I think you should get a very even grab on both front and
I'm
rear.
talking like
still. I know.
okay. You reckon it should be 100% even?
100% even.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not be accepting that.
I'm going to test your TCR. Hold the phone.
Oh, yeah. That wheel won't spin because it's got a wait for results.
So yours are even, which is good, but that's a lot of throw before it locks out. Like,
I don't have those pulled in at all.
yeah, but then you're adjusting the brake reach, not the point where the brake engages. That's what I'm saying. You should be able to independently, well, not that you should, but that you could on rim brakes, adjust the reach and then adjust essentially like the tension on the brake system, which you can't do with the disc, which is just it's annoying. It's a customization that I can't do. I find that irritating because a lot of the time I don't like it where you're braking and then it's not, the brakes don't fully engage and almost until the lever's all the way at the bar. And by that stage, you've kind of lost your hands in like a totally different position. Anyway, that's
I'll give you that.
they got to like for as far as when we talk about like the braking, when you compare the new SRAM and the Shimano and how powerful it is and things like that, like there is still a lot of work to do on all that little nitty gritty bits that we've just gone through.
I agree. What do you think? This is the first time we've had those two bikes in the studio. So 2016 and 2024 sitting right next to each other. Any initial thoughts? I mean, it was interesting. So I've had them in here for a couple of days now. I was actually, my initial thing was, there are a few things that are different because I was still operating under that. It's basically the same bike with disc brakes on it. But there are some subtle, well, not so subtle changes to the frame, in my opinion.
There are, but keeping in mind that's 2024.
That's what I said.
/5.
I know.
So I don't get you. You're going to say, are you saying, wait, you're saying that you're surprised that it's more different than you thought?
I had before we put the two bikes next to each other, I was basically like, I'm just riding Jesse's bike from 2016 with disc brakes on. I literally just thought it was pretty much the exact same thing until I actually put them next to each other.
On a scale, I'd say they're pretty like, what have they, if you look at it, I'm going to, essentially all it is it's just the truncated airfoil on most of the shapes. Like take my fork and squish the back section. Pretty much that. Take the seat tube, flatten the back off.
Yeah, I think those seat tube, the rear seat stay, like where you've basically where the caliper is the biggest difference.
Yeah, it's thinner, and then you're kind of looking at
you've got that big.
Yeah, it's all
plank.
filled in.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they make that two hollow tubes and
That's
then
what I
just
mean.
the brake bridge?
It's
It's weird that they made that all one tube. Although when you have two separate tubes and an extra brake bridge, maybe that's not actually lighter because you're having to make three whole new tubes instead of one long triangle at the. This is going to make no sense to anyone that's not looking at what we're talking about. So maybe we can.
Yeah, probably yes.
Yeah.
Probably move on from that.
I don't really know what the point. They're like 90. If you put a number, how similar are they? Like this, the air, the what's that called? Didn't Trek the first Madone? Didn't they introduce that the cam tail? It's basically the main thing I'm seeing. I'd say they're like 9 out of 10 similar.
It's kind of interesting that the head tube, like the 2024 head tube, has less filled in behind it in comparison to the 2016 one, which I thought was, yeah.
I still find the shape of the down tubes really fascinating in that down tube shape is basically the opposite of the down tube from, let's say, the S5. It's like take that and turn it 90 degrees, and that's an S5.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite kind of shaping of the tube, which is kind of strange. I think like surely like that's like that for stiffness reasons, perhaps. And you go, how have they
I agree.
turned it around?
Even when you're riding it, you're looking down. You're just going, why is this like this? It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. I'll talk about them next week. I want to talk about the Cadex Max 40s because I've seen some reviews go up about them. Which I kind of
what are those? Are they the Max 40s?
So they're the 50s.
They're the Max 50s.
Yeah.
So they made a 40 and a 50.
Correct. So that's the wheel that is essentially spec'd on the Propel. That the Jayco use on the Propel, and the 40s, which are almost 2 years newer, are the ones that are spec'd on this bike.
But do you know the weight difference between the Max 40s and the 50s?
Yeah.
What is it?
150 grams.
That's a lot. That's pretty significant.
I put those 50s on the TCR. Really because, well, actually, I need to apologize to someone on Instagram who, when I did a reel about this thing, and they're like, oh, you should try the 50s on it to see how it goes on one of your time trials. And I went back or snapped back at him. I'm like, no, I'm testing the package this is the Cadex Max 40s. Turns out I did do exactly what he said, so apologies about that.
Which was the most obvious thing to do.
Yes, which was the most obvious thing to do.
Get a light bike and try and close the gap.
Yeah. And long story short, it hasn't really closed the gap that much. So I found that just generally in terms of that sort of 40-minute, 40 kilometer an hour-ish time trial thing that we do, that it's moved the needle. I wouldn't actually say that it's moved the needle enough for me to say that it's moved the needle in terms of any results. So it's still averaging around 40 k's an hour, sometimes a bit less, never a bit more.
Just to clarify, we're only talking about a 40 mil depth to a 50 mil depth.
Correct.
Although the 40 mil depth version is the latest generation.
Correct.
It's a few years newer. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not comparing. It's not like you put 80 mil deep wheels on and it's the same speed.
No.
Okay.
But these, I am staying in the Cadex world. So I think they do an 80. They don't do a 60. So this is kind of, if you want to go an Aero wheel for an everyday race bike, this is your option. This is what you're specced with.
This is what you get. Okay.
Yeah. So then, in terms of climbing in and around Sydney, just in terms of pure performance-wise, you need me to say this, but very little, if no difference, just in terms of the actual performance of a 6 to 8 minute climb that's on anywhere from 5 to 8% gradients. Very little to no difference when it comes to comparing the two wheel sets. Average speed of my rides, probably the worst type of thing.
That's what people want.
Again,
average speed.
No change whatsoever. And this isn't, I'm not just talking about going into Centennial Park and doing laps. I'm talking about a 3-hour West Head ride, 1,500 meters of climbing, around a 3-hour ride. Very much the same irrelevant differences when it comes to me just out there riding endurance bikes and the thing. So, look, in terms of the pure performance and at the chop, so I've ridden this at the chop twice. Swapping off is okay, but when something starts happening over 45, 50 k's an hour, I really struggle to react. So that is what it is. But I do want to, the one thing I wanted to actually say from actually bringing this up in the whole first place.
That language is quite serious.
Oh, okay.
Do you mean that?
How have you taken what I said?
I would take what you just said as, when you eat the wind following an attack, you're feeling really slow on the TCR.
At 45 k's an hour up, yeah. Put me on a gradient and someone attacks, different story. Doesn't even have to go for that long.
Mm-hmm.
Different story. Different bike.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's, again, this is me talking about swapping off with guys on Scott foils, S5s, you name it.
Tavellos.
And someone who's at the lower end of the power curve
okay.
as well. That's the other thing I should stress. that it is.
Okay, I'm just trying to confirm that it's not. Yeah, there's a difference between I think I can feel a difference and what the sentence you said, which was
Once you get above 45 k's an hour,
Yep.
and you then need to go to 55
Yep.
to react, definitely.
Okay.
100%.
Fair enough.
And I'm sorry, but if anyone at Giant takes that the wrong way, that their TCR isn't reacting at 55 k's an hour like someone on an aero bike, grow up. Like, seriously.
No, I'm not so much. Wouldn't be so much Giant. It'd be more. I would have found that hard to believe,
Okay. Fair enough.
but I haven't compared a Giant with climbing wheels to an S5 with 60 mil deep reserves.
Yep.
Because when I went from the, and maybe this is just because I'm heavier and stronger. When I went from the TCR to the Tavelo, the speed in my efforts was different. At the chop, I struggled to really. I mean, maybe if I was sort of convincing myself, but maybe I'm just really bad at comparing bikes. I'm kind of like, I don't think I'd be able to.
Yeah, I don't want to go. But I do think your power masks
Yeah.
a lot.
That's probably potentially is the case.
But just specifically about this bike and the wheels, I do think that you lose a bit of the TCR-ness by putting these wheels on rather than having the 40s on. Those doubling down on the stiffness to weight. And I do think it's actually just that lateral stiffness of those 40s. When you put them on, it is so much fun to ride. You just do not want to ride the bike. You can tell me that it's going to be slower at certain things. It doesn't matter. It's so much more fun to ride with those 40s on. You just lose a bit of that with these. And I haven't gained enough at the other end of the scale for me to go, you know what? Yeah, this is a good trade-off. That's where I'm left.
Which leaves me wanting more, Chris.
Good.
It's been a big tease because I want you to double down again. You've attempted. I'll call a single down. You've gone from a 40 to a 50. I want the double down. I still want you to put the CRWs on.
Yeah. Okay.
And because the challenge, like the realistic challenge for probably if anyone's listening to this and actually not just listening to it for the chat, but potentially making a purchase decision, the solution to I have an S5 and I want to have a more enjoyable climbing bike isn't to go out and buy a TCR Advanced SL0 with KDX Max 40s or vice versa. It's how could you, or is it even possible to milk your current setup to get a little bit of the other side? And so that was always when you started to do this wheel changing kind of thing was how close can the TCR get through wheel changes to the S5? And I still think you've got about 20 millimeters of wheel depth to go before you kind of go, nah, it's dead in the water.
Yeah, I don't know. My pushback is still that
because that's essentially what I did with my TCR. I had those massive Caden 80 mil wheels on.
Yeah, but the person that I still think the person that actually is considering buying a Giant TCR doesn't care. They want the TCR feeling. They want that incredible snappiness and nimbleness.
No way.
No?
Okay, maybe someone that's buying it now as an N+1. But for the person that's buying it as a mummel, as a entry level 22-year-old, and it's the first bike, and then they start to do some group rides, and they go, all my mates in Sydney have S5s. Can I try and get a bit faster? The question that I feel like at least to me, you're trying to answer would be, is it worth buying a whole new set of wheels that are just way deeper, and you can tick your box and you're happy, or is this just a pointless exercise in trying to polish a turd? That's really sorry. That's not what I meant.
That's
not
not
polish
what
a turd in an aerodynamic sense, or put lipstick on a pig.
The problem
is probably
there
a better way.
But the problem there is I'm testing this in a scenario that your 22-year-old Mummel probably isn't going to find themselves very often, and also probably isn't going to find themselves.
Oh, but you're a Max vlogger who we talked about last week, and you're going down to Kernell on a Saturday morning. Okay, you're not rolling turns at 50k an hour at the chop, but it's a 35 average Kernell return, which Kernell is a Sydney ride. It's flat, open roads. You generally get a bit of paceline action. That's still a situation where a rider like that or a TCR rider is going to go, what would this be like on a aero bike? I feel like just going from 40 to 50 and saying it's not fast enough is like, why did you even bother? It's a centimeter wheel depth change.
No, but it's meant to be a pretty fast wheel. It does test very fast, that wheel.
As a 50 mil wheel.
Well, I mean, yeah, as a 50 mil wheel, but tests really fast against the Roval, the Envies. Like it is a.
But again, you're going to be
fast aero wheel.
You're comparing this to your S5 with reserve 50s, 60s, or 60. What do you have in the reserve? 60s.
A 50-60.
50-60. Now maybe you just can't be bothered.
No, I can be bothered, but I still don't. Yeah, I still think for Max.
So what was the point of this then? If you're going, this was never gonna. What was the point?
I didn't know what the answer was going to be.
Right.
Because
that's what I'm saying, but you've only gone from 40 to 50 mil. So you've kind of like tried to test something, barely changed the wheel depth, and then gone, it hasn't made me aerodynamically faster. Yeah, because like the difference between a 40 and a 50 mil is probably 3 to 5 watts, maybe at 45 an hour.
I'll accept that.
But
I should have
a 40
gone
to a 70.
Yeah, but I'm not going to run. Like, who wants to run? I'm sorry, but if you're buying a TCR, like, what do you know? Like, you're not getting a 70 mil deep wheel. Like, get an aero bike.
Yeah, but people don't want to buy a whole new bike.
But don't buy a new bike. Just be happy with that. Like, I just think putting a 70 on the TCR will totally ruin this bike.
I genuinely want to know.
Okay.
I do. Because
the problem is we're coming at this from two completely different places. I absolutely love the feeling that the TCR gives me.
Yes.
As that snappy
absolutely
thing. And everything you want me to do is going to reduce that.
But you already own an S5.
I know.
Anyone that's listening to this doesn't already own an S5. And so the people that are like me and are kind of invested in this journey you're on, this is getting to a frustrating conclusion because you haven't tested it with an actual aerodynamic wheel.
All right. Fine. I'll put your bloody... You've got them?
I've got them.
Yeah, all right. I'll put them on.
The tyres are on there. You're now a home mechanic, so you can probably do the swap.
Yep. Is SRAM or Shimano? The Shimano, aren't they?
Oh, fucking hell. Proprietary. That's not going to work, is it? That's not going to work. This has all come crashing down. Does anyone... Oh, no. Case will have a set of... Surely they've got a set of at least 60 mil. At 60? Least 60 mil deep.
Okay.
With its SRAM XDR free hub.
Sorry, TCR. I don't want to do it. I really don't.
Doesn't have to be forever. Just give us three rides.
Okay. All right. I'll give you 3 rides.
3 rides. Because pretty much everything, I know the speed thing, but most of this is, vibe call.
Mm.
Do the chop. Give us 1 chop and 2 effort days.
Okay.
And then I'll be happy.
Okay.
And then you can put your 40s back on.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I have been running the Pirellis on there.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it's interesting that those Cadex Giant want you to spec a 25 on there. They come with the Cadex 25 mil tires. That's how they're meant to be ridden.
What are they then? Those Pirellos you've got. Pirellos.
So they're 28s.
Pirellis. Okay.
Because they're still like it's still a 22 point something, 22.8, 22.1 mil rim internal. So it's wide enough. So I don't know why they're wanting to spec a 25 on there. I mean, they're saying for aero reasons, but yeah. Anyway, I ignored that and ran those Pirellis. And these are the new Pirellis, the ones that test on bicycle resistance pretty close to the Contis. And I do actually really like the feel of them. I kind of thought there'd be more yellow on the tire. I wanted them to kind of look a bit cooler.
Because the pro versions are all, the Pirelli logos are yellow.
Yellow on them, but they're kind of boring looking grey, which was a bit disappointing. But in terms of the actual performance, like, because you get a bit, I don't know, I'm so far down this rabbit hole now that I feel like I can feel a tire a bit. Like I'll be honest, I didn't quite like the feel of those Cadix ones. They did kind of feel a bit gluey almost to the ground.
Okay.
Whereas these have that Conti hum.
I was almost going to say the problem is, what's the reference of, is it a good tire?
Well, bicycle rolling resistance.
Yes, so bicycle rolling resistance. But in terms of you reviewing it, I'm like, I bet you're going to say, how close is it to a GP 5000? In which case, just buy a GP 5000.
Yeah, but then you just
are they cheaper?
You want to be one of the cool kids with a different brand. Oh, and there is an argument. Not that I've really had much of it, but there is an argument for a Conti that it isn't as puncture resistant.
Okay, 140 Aussie dollars.
As a Pirelli, these are meant to be better puncture resistant than the Contis. And better in wet weather. For all those wet weather rides I do.
9.1? Yeah, 0.4 off a GP 5000. Interesting.
And lighter.
Okay.
And slightly more puncture resistant.
Okay.
And you could actually buy them.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Okay.
Thing that mattered. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Cool.
So you got those ones and the Michelin ones.
Dan
the other ones
was always going on about the Michelins. He's like, they're just as fast.
So they're the two that seem
they're
to...
9 watts. The Power Cup TLR 28 is a 9.
I tried some Michelins years ago and they ripped up like in days, so I've never been back. But wouldn't say no to giving them a crack second time. Look, we've got Jesse Coyle talking about tyres. Next minute will be about grades of gravel. Just lastly, well, hopefully lastly.
Please be last.
I'm hungry. POC Procen Air. As you may have seen, I put some decals on it, Jesse. I've de-blackenized it, which has been good. But what I wanted to say about it, so I've run it the last 2 weekends, the last 2 races I did. And so the Masters one, it was about 14, 15 degrees, somewhere in there.
Of your average?
No, temperature.
Okay. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The weekend was warmer and more humid. So we were around 22, 23 degrees and humid. It was a 2.5-ish hour race, was it? I think in the end, something about that. And I got to say, we're not far off the cutoff or the threshold for the temperature you would be wanting to run that helmet in a bike race. Because the problem with, any of those aero helmets is once you start sweating in them, it becomes pretty hot and then you get the drips coming down onto the actual visor itself. So I reckon I haven't crossed the threshold yet. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll get some 25, 26 degrees, I imagine.
Yeah.
Once we get in there, I'll be able to identify the exact cutoff, but we're nearing it.
Okay.
And that's because I remember people were sort of saying, but this thing's so fast, but no one's running it at the tour and all this kind of stuff. Well, I honestly think this is the reason because it's going to be pretty warm. Okay. Eventually. You haven't bashed it out, have you? Since
not yet.
No,
not yet.
It's becoming worryingly not very controversial now. Turning up with it.
No.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Good. Progress.
I don't know. I'm backing out. Well, it's like that guy saying the other week that you turn up to any amateur race now and dudes are, it's probably us talking about it, like optimized to the tilt. Like, how can I even compete on my 10-year-old whatever? And now here I am saying that this helmet's pretty cool, pretty fast. Here's another thing you got to add to your sort of itinerary of items to take to your race.
Yep.
Yep.
That's life.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. On that, Jesse, I will see you next week.
Sure. I will see you then. Thanks for listening.